The dragons are coming. The highly anticipated Game of Thrones prequel series House of the Dragon premieres on HBO Max on August 21st, and Xfinity has everything you need to navigate your return to Westeros. But before we get into that, let's take a quick look at the trailer for House of the Dragon.
What is this brief mortal life, if not the pursuit of legacy?
I, Rickon Stark.
I, Corlys Velaryon.
I, Ormond Baratheon.
Promise to be faithful to King Viserys and to his named heir,
Princess Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra Targaryen.
Men would sooner put the realm to the torch than see a woman ascend the Iron Throne.
We play an ugly game. You have the determination to win it.
History does not remember blood. It remembers names.
Oh, it looks so
That looks
good.
intense.
So, based on author George R.R. Martin's book Fire and Blood, House of the Dragon is set 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones and tells the story of the Targaryen Civil War. Actor Paddy Considine plays King Viserys Targaryen, who considers changing the royal line of succession by skipping his male heir, Prince Daemon, played by Doctor Who alum Matt Smith, in favor of his daughter Rhaenyra, played by actress Emma Darcy. It would mark the first time in the history of the Seven Kingdoms that a woman would sit on the Iron Throne. So the question is, how does this all tie into Game of Thrones, Daenerys Targaryen, and the families of Westeros we've come to love and loathe? To access our brand new House of the Dragon collection, where you'll find the Game of Thrones Best of Targaryen collection featuring 16 iconic episodes across all 8 seasons for free. That's right. If you're not an HBO subscriber, you can still enjoy these 16 episodes totally free. But that's not all. If you want to start from the very beginning, we're also offering the entire first season of Game of Thrones for free through September 5th. The House of the Dragon collection is also your one-stop shop for everything related to the new series, including news, trailers, behind-the-scenes featurettes, and the official podcast. Between now and the premiere on August 21st, and all season long for all new content, including character profiles, interviews, inside the episode specials, an exclusive Targaryen and culture feature, and so much more. So check it out. We're so excited for it, and I'm a super fan, and I'm really hyped about this. Liz, Quam, are you excited for House of the Dragon?
Me personally,
I am actually excited.
Super excited.
Go
But
ahead.
David, I do have a question. Is this based off of any property by George R.R. Martin, or is this like a completely original story?
No, so it's based on the book Fire and Blood, which was about the Targaryen Civil War. So it is like tied to his actual work and not something separate. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that some of the other prequels that were planned would be more of like take a little more like liberties and step away from the books a little bit. But this one's very much tied to his works, as I understand.
Okay, cool. Because I love the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, and I'm just super excited for this. And now that I know that it's still tied to the some original work, I think it's going to be excellent. And I love how they got I don't know her name. I'm not like that much of a fan where I know everyone's name, but I love how like the Daenerys tie-in or stand-in. She looks actually like Daenerys. I love that. So I think this is going to be super exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
Liz?
So tell me if someone who has never seen Game of Thrones, can they start here? Can they start with House of Dragon? Or would you recommend that they start with Game of Thrones?
You absolutely don't have to watch Game of Thrones first. I think
Okay.
I think you would appreciate the series more if you know what happens later. I mean, it's kind of like, it's funny. I just had this conversation yesterday with someone about Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and they were like, "Should I have watched Better Call Saul first and then watch Breaking Bad?" And I was like, "You could, but I think like the showrunners have specifically built things in to Better Call Saul that are nods to Breaking Bad. So you're watching it and you're like, maybe it wouldn't be as impactful for you if you hadn't already seen Breaking Bad, but you could totally do it in reverse order." But I think what's so great about having this 16 episode sampler of the best of Targaryens is that you can just watch those episodes, see Daenerys's greatest and worst moments in Game of Thrones, and feel like you kind of know that family in time to be able to watch this series.
That's awesome. Because I feel like there's two camps, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear your opinion, but I feel like there are those who are fans and have watched it. And then you have those who, for whatever reason, maybe just didn't jump on that bandwagon, or it got too crazy, it got too popular, and they just decided not to watch. I am in that latter camp. I have not seen one episode. Gosh, don't tell anybody. I know I do this for work. I have not seen one episode of Game of Thrones. And this was way before, this was before I was doing this, but I just at some point was just like, I think I'm just too far gone. I don't even want to jump on this bandwagon. So change my mind. Tell me I need to see the sampling and or House of Dragon.
Quantum, why don't you explain why? Yeah.
Thank you, David. Thank you. I was going to take the reins, but I just wanted that approval. Liz, so this show is so good. It's so good, and what I think I love most about it is how expansive it is. They bring in so many different characters, so many different plot threads that it really builds a universe. And I think when you have a universe as big as what the Game of Thrones original series was able to build, you're able to do these prequels and sequels. I think they're going to have that kind of shoot off into different stories. And it's like similar to the Harry Potter universe and how they're like now like branching off into other series where you just have so many different characters that you fall in love with and they die, and it just makes you really invested. It's one of those things you don't necessarily need to watch while everyone else is watching it, because once you start watching, you're going to be like enthralled. And the best part about it, you don't have to wait like every Sunday for a new episode. You can just go right to the next episode and get through the entire show maybe like in a week. I remember when I first watched Game of Thrones, I was like you, Liz. I was like very late to the party. I think season 7 maybe had just ended, and I was like, okay, I might as well just jump on now. And I was like, whoa, I was missing out. And so don't feel bad that you're late to the party. You have House of the Dragon to now look forward to, and this would be a great way to lead right into it. Or, as David mentioned, I think you could like start from the House of the Dragon and watch it chronologically, which could be like even a cooler experience. So, there's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Just dive in. Just dive in. Just don't get too attached to a character.
Yeah.
Because, yes.
Thanks. I'll start with House of Dragon and then start episode 1. So I'll let you know how that worked out for me.
Definitely.
I do think it's really interesting in Game of Thrones, similar. It's funny you mentioned about Harry Potter, because they've built these families in Harry Potter, the Weasleys and the Malfoys and then Potter and everyone. comes from their own houses. And it's very similar in this. And we'll see the same families that we saw in Game of Thrones, but just 200 years earlier. So obviously the Targaryens, but then there's the Hightowers and, some of the other families that we already met. And we've already met their not their ancestors, their descendants, I guess. And now we're going back and meeting where they came from and how their houses came to be. And it's very interesting, Kwam, that you mentioned the character Rhaenyra looking very much like Daenerys. I mean, it's all very purposeful, I think, because the idea here is that she's going to possibly sit on the Iron Throne and be the first woman to do it. But as Game of Thrones fans, we know what happened when a Targaryen woman ended up sitting on the throne. Like, we know how that turned out. And so now we're looking here in House of the Dragon and wondering, will it happen again? You're right. I think if you managed to avoid all of that during the end of Game of Thrones and all the press it got, like, bless you, because I don't know how you avoided any of those spoilers.
Yeah. I think what's going to be really cool is seeing like a House of Castamere. You probably don't know what was going to happen. So, yeah, I would imagine that they would be involved because, as we know, the House of Castamere is like a warning for everyone else, like not to mess around with this family. So I think, Liz, again, going back to you, if you were to watch this like in chronological order, it could just really like enhance the viewing of the actual Game of Thrones series later down the line. If you were to start with House of the Dragon, get that insight, because a lot of things they reference in Game of Thrones or the original series had already happened. We don't really know it, and oftentimes it takes like deep watching to really pick up on what's going on. So the world's your oyster right now. You probably have the best experience because you can literally have an experience that no one else has. So I'm actually pretty jealous.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That trailer has got me really excited. I was never excited about, and listen, this came out, I think I was in the middle of having a baby or something. Like, I was not worried about Game of Thrones, right? So now this House of the Dragon, I'm watching this trailer and I'm thrilled to want to see it. So I will report back and let you know.